KCAL, the Susquehanna Valley's news channel. This is the News 8 Evening Report.
An emotional reunion today for a Susquehanna Valley family. The father, a York County minister, kidnapped at gunpoint by a desperate bank robber. Tonight, the minister is safe at home. The suspect is still on the run. Good evening. I'm Wayne Herman.
And I'm Ron Martin. The episode began this morning when a lone gunman entered and demanded cash. The gunman got away south on 83, kidnapped the pastor in Loganville, and took off for Baltimore. Tonight, he's still at large. York Federal Savings and Loan security cameras were rolling, but police say it'll be of little use in identifying the bank robber. On the videotape of the heist, the suspect is said to have had his face hidden. We later learned he had on a stocking cap and sunglasses.
He was somewhat disguised, but no mask.
Out of the bank, the suspect jumps into his waiting getaway car. He heads for I-83, moving south, with police in hot pursuit. The chase ends a short while later after the suspect gets off the Loganville exit.
The car door flew open, and the first thing I saw was a gun come out, and the man took off and ran out through the field and up behind the elementary school.
Police immediately launched an aerial and ground search for the suspect. The doors to the nearby Loganville-Springfield Elementary School were locked as a precaution. Not locked, though, were the doors to this home, where for a while, police thought the gunman was holed up. Diane Hartman got quite a scare when police entered with their guns drawn.
And I said, "Don't shoot, it's just me." So it was very frightening.
But police had good reason to think the suspect was here. A few minutes earlier, Diane's mother saw something which later revealed the suspect was at one point outside their home, where he apparently hijacked their minister and his car.
And I saw there was somebody in the car, but they looked real small.
Police later learned the suspect had taken the minister hostage and commandeered him to Baltimore. Once there, the Reverend Joe Detrick of the Cador's Church of the Brethren called his church and spoke with parishioner Ruth Fitz.
Said that he was in Baltimore, that he was okay, but he was held hostage at gunpoint, and that he had to go.
A short time later, York State Police received word that Reverend Detrick was freed. The suspect reportedly had gotten out of the car in Baltimore and fled without harming the Reverend. Tonight, police are looking for a black male in his late 20s, about 6 feet tall, 160 pounds, and of slim build. He's wearing a tan knit hat, dark sunglasses, a white turtleneck, a brown leather jacket, faded jeans, and Docksider shoes. He displayed a silver and black automatic handgun.
And tonight, the Detricks have invited us into their home to give us an exclusive look at how this drama unfolded for them. They're sharing their story with News 8's Susan Shapiro. Susan.
Ron and Wayne, tonight is an emotional but very happy night here in the Detrick home just outside Loganville. The Reverend Joe Detrick, who is pastor of the Cador's Church of the Brethren, as you can see, is home safe and sound after that harrowing ordeal as a hostage. The man who apparently robbed the York Federal Savings and Loan in Spride forced the minister to drive him to Baltimore from Loganville at gunpoint. We'll hear more about that story. They have kindly invited us in here to talk to them, and we thank you for that.
Welcome.
And we are certainly glad you are home tonight with these great kids and your lovely wife. We know you were outside of your church member's home ready to go into a meeting when you encountered this man. How did he get you to take him in his car, in your car, and how did the whole thing get started?
Well, I was waiting for Diana Barber to open the door, and I was early for a meeting, and out of my eye, I saw a man come around the house with a gun in his hand. He walked up to me and said, "You know, you get me out of here. Get in your car, and we're going to drive." And I was very frightened, but I tried to stay calm because I didn't want to scare him that he might do something more violent. And we got in the car, and I told him, "Look, you can take this car, you can have it, you can go with it. Here it is. Just leave me be and let you go." And he said, "I don't drive a stick shift."
Oh, no.
And so we got in the car and we drove down to exit 2 and got on I-83 south. And he had his gun, and for a while he was crouched in the seat, and he eventually got up and sat up and was down so he wouldn't be seen. And it was a long time. It was 45 minutes to think about life.
What was going through your mind?
Lots of things. I worried about my family. I knew that I loved my family and my church. And I prayed for this man that no harm would come to him or to me.
You ended up in an Amoco station in Baltimore,
yes.
And you managed to get away from him. How did that happen?
Yes. Well, I needed to get gas. That's why we had to stop. And I was putting the gas in, deciding what to do next. And finally I said I cannot go any farther with this. So I went to the window, and he was sitting at the passenger side with a gun. And I said, "Sir, I cannot go any farther than this. This is all the farther I'm going to go." And I backed away, and he said, "Okay," and he got out of the car and fled. And that's when I called the police.
When you think back on this, first of all, it must seem like a dream to you by now.
Well, it does seem very surrealistic.
What are you thinking tonight when you look at these guys and you're...
Well, I know how precious life is. Right on the edge of life, I know that God is there, surrounding me and everyone with God's love. And coming from a pacifist tradition, I know that violence is not the way. And my attempt was to defuse the situation so he wouldn't get angry and shoot me with his gun.
Well, you certainly did a good job at doing that. Mrs. Detrick, what's it like to have him back home after hearing this story?
We're so thankful. It was perhaps the greatest shock of my life when I heard the news, and the greatest relief I've ever had to know that he was safe. We're very thankful.
And we thank you for letting us into your home, and we are, again, and I know a lot of people out there are glad that you are safe and sound tonight, and you certainly used your head in quite a harrowing experience. And that is the tale of Reverend Joe Detrick, taken hostage today by an apparent gunman who robbed the bank. Back to you.
Indeed, a night for rejoicing in the Detrick household. Susan, thank you very much. Reporting live tonight from Loganville, York County.
In other news tonight, investigators are now looking at the flight recorders from the U.S. Air jet that crashed in New York's Flushing Bay last night. Flight 405 had been headed for Cleveland last night when it crashed on takeoff from LaGuardia Airport. An airline spokesman says at least 26 people died, at least 24 people were injured, and one is missing. Investigators hope...
Are you ready, ready, ready?